Fun fact, Zara oftentimes buys tweeds from the same mills as Chanel. Did you see that Chanel recently launched a new company called Devold? Now, Chanel has a bunch of maisons within their fold that will handle their footwear manufacturing, their hat manufacturing, like Maison Michel, Les Sages, which does their embroidery, and they just launched a new one called Chanel Devold, which is all about the production of circular materials using Chanel materials to recycle and make new fabrics out of them, which they're going to use in both Chanel products and sell them to third parties, which I think is incredibly intriguing. Their tweed and their quilted leathers are incredibly iconic from a materiality perspective for Chanel. I would love to see how they could create or recreate these materials using the devolved infrastructure of sustainable, recyclable materials and perhaps offcuts, as they're often called in the industry. Because if you think about it, like when Chanel is making a tweed jacket, I've been to mills, many of which are around the Lake Como and Scotland area, that make the tweeds that Chanel uses. And they're buying these tweeds in rolls of fabric, right? Fun fact, Zara oftentimes buys tweeds from the same mills as Chanel. The nicest pieces from Zara, the most expensive ones that they make the least money on, are always at the very front of the shop. The more back you go, the cheaper the materials are and the higher the margins are. Anyways, so when Chanel buys a roll of tweed fabric that is presumably at a premium, when they cut out the pattern of the tweed jacket, there's material surrounding that was on the roll that's left over. Now, what happens to that material? Maybe some of it could be used for Chanel ballet flat or a bag, depending on the size of the offcuts. But then there's like smaller offcuts. What could those be used for? Smaller products like keychains, I'm thinking, or little pouches. But then you get into the nitty gritty and the really small offcuts. That adds up over time. So instead of wasting those offcuts, I love the idea that Chanel is finding ways that they could perhaps use them to create newer products and circulate them back into the Chanel collections.